Over the years, we've gotten dozens of DC and Marvel films, and that's probably something you did not know if you only get your movie information from the Oscars. So as many of you might know, the superhero genre is a very successful genre. As a matter of fact, the highest grossing film franchise of all time is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so there's been a ton of Marvel movies that have been hits as well as DC movies. But when it comes to awards, they're not really always as recognized as they should be. And so why is that the case? Do people really just think that those movies are for children and that they can't be cinema? Now, if we go way back to the beginning of these types of award shows, it was earlier in the history of film where superhero movies were pretty much non-existent. They had some serials every now and then that were very low budget, and so there really wasn't anything too interesting they could do with these iconic characters.
That's not good.
But as time went on, we started to get more superhero movies, like the 1978 Superman movie was one of the most influential films of all time when it came to special effects, and later down the road you had the Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher Batman films, and really the 21st century things started to kick off with the X-Men and Spider-Man movies, the Dark Knight trilogy, and now you have the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well as a lot more DC films. You even have the DC Extended Universe, and they're making a new DC universe. But throughout the years, so many people have criticized superhero films and just kind of generalized them as movies that just can't be taken seriously, with many people saying they are not cinema. And so what makes a movie good? Usually it comes down to the story, the storytelling, the cinematography, the character development, the performances, the music, and when a movie excels in most if not all of those things, that's what really makes it a great movie. But many people just say superhero movies are just generic movies and they can't possibly have deep themes or good writing. And what really drives me crazy is when people say that every superhero movie is the same. Now obviously with all the superhero movies that come out, a lot of them do kind of fall into a similar formula, but that's still just generalizing the superhero movies, because there are quite a few movies that are actually very impressive and aren't just trying to appeal to a large audience, they're just trying to be very good at what they're going for. Many of them have great writing and great cinematography, all the stuff you want from movies. Every single genre of a movie has good, mediocre, and bad movies, and the superhero genre is no different. And when it comes to award shows, and I'm mainly just using the Oscars as an example, they really only like drama movies. And to be clear, I'm not saying that a superhero movie needs to win Best Picture every year. I'm not shocked at all that none of the Marvel or DC films won Best Picture on this last Oscars. And it's not like I have a problem with dramas. There are some cases where some pretty good dramas have won Best Picture at the Oscars, like Oppenheimer or Forrest Gump. And those are pretty much the only examples I can think of. But the disrespect for superhero movies is just absolutely insane. You have a lot of them that are occasionally nominated for best visual effects or editing, maybe sound design, costume design. Usually just something that has to do with the visuals or the sound and not the story. And every once in a while some of them will win that stuff, but it's none of the huge rewards people will remember from the Oscars. As a matter of fact, the only Marvel movie that was ever nominated for Best Picture was Black Panther, which was a good movie, although I do find it weird that that was nominated the same year that Infinity War came out, when that was like objectively better. If I had to guess, they probably went with Black Panther because it is more of a drama, although it's still like a superhero movie, but it is one of those closest MCU movies you can get to a drama. Still, even though that was a good movie, it did have a really bad sequence in the final battle, just some awful VFX, so that honestly should have automatically disqualified it. Now, the only DC movie that's ever been nominated for Best Picture was the Joker movie, which in that case, it was a drama, and of course it still didn't win. The biggest wins we've gotten for comic book movies at the Oscars was when Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse won Best Animated Picture, and when Heath Ledger won Best Supporting Actor for his role as the Joker in The Dark Knight, which they did that posthumously. He definitely was 100% deserving of that award. That might have been the greatest performance in any movie of all time. But it's still kind of crazy that The Dark Knight didn't win Best Picture. It wasn't even nominated. And most people that have seen that movie would definitely agree it's one of the best superhero movies for sure. Probably really one of the best movies of all time. And there are some other really good comic book movies that I think are kind of up there with it that don't get enough attention. I would say, well, it's a pretty small number. There are a few superhero films that are arguably just as good as The Dark Knight or even better. And again, I'm not saying that the superhero genre is superior to all other genres, but by no means is it inferior. And it's just crazy that no superhero movie has ever won Best Picture, except for like Spider-Verse, which won Best Animated Picture. And there's just no denying, while not every superhero movie is a masterpiece, there are some that are definitely deserving of winning Best Picture. Like again, The Dark Knight, like I just mentioned, or Avengers Infinity War or Endgame, which literally did something no movie had ever done before. It was the conclusion to like 20 movies in a series over 11 years. Overall, there just really is some top tier stuff. But let me know in the comment section down below if you think superhero movies are overlooked when it comes to this type of recognition. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.